Hello, world. Welcome back to Golf Subpar with Colt Knost and Drew Stoltz. What a week it was for Tom Kim, who defended his title out in Vegas at the Shriners Children's Open. As you can see if you're watching on YouTube, I'm currently at Bel Air Country Club in Mr. Dave Podis' office, the head pro here at Bel Air, director of golf, at Bel Air Country Club, getting ready to play the Friends of Golf event out here, Sleeves, where our man Max Homa is the honoree.
Is he speaking? Is Max giving a little talk?
He is. Later on tonight after golf, he will be speaking. He's got a tough guy interviewing him, though. Jim Nance will be handling the MC duties. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
He's going to have to carry the whole shit by himself. Tough sled, Max. Yep. That's what you get for being a superstar, bud. Who else are some of the friends of golf in this outing? Who's friendly with the game?
I've got quite the group today. I'm playing with our producer from CBS, Sellers Shy, the one and only Terry Gannon, and then the dude that has been the face of Netflix, it seems like, for the last several years, Chad Mumm. So we got quite the foursome.
A whole bunch of mums. Chad's everywhere right now, wheeling and dealing. He's in the place. I want to hear a full breakdown of his golf game at the end of this. Haven't seen it personally. He's supposed to play soon, but I'm going to need to know strengths and weaknesses of Mr. Mumm's game.
I have not seen it either. I can't wait. It's a beautiful day out here, but Bel Air, one of the best. Going to be a really fun day, raising some money for a great cause. But back to Tom Kim, who defended his title, now has 3 wins on the PGA Tour, and he's just 21 years old. The only thing I was disappointed in, Sleaze, was how he said he was going to celebrate in Vegas, having some chocolate and going to bed. I mean, what are we doing?
That's pretty typical, isn't it? That's what we do. I always have some chocolate when I'm in Vegas. You know what I mean? Love a little chocolate up there. But the kid's 21, dude. He joins Tiger Woods, by the way. He's the only guy who went 3 times by the age of 21. He's just getting going. And he just, like, it's kind of, like, refreshing, honestly. It's like he's not about that life. He doesn't love that partying. And I think, the President's Cup, when we talked to him, like, that was the first party, quote unquote, he'd ever been to. He doesn't, that stuff doesn't get the juices going. And by the way, that's probably why he's the only guy other than Tiger Woods to win 3 times by the age of 21. Like, he grinds, he works hard. I don't think he puts the clubs down for a whole lot, from what I've heard from Skav. And he likes money, though. So he's going to have plenty of options to do whatever the hell he wants. It was really, really impressive what he did out there, especially getting off to the start. Thursday, Friday, he left a lot of shots out there. Missed some putts that we're not used to seeing him make, and then comes back and shoots 20 under. But also, Colt, got to talk about Lexi real quick. You got to get to the tee, but dude, I was blown away. Like, this is no bullshit. This isn't pandering. This isn't anything. She was incredibly impressive given the amount of pressure and eyeballs that she had on her this past week to go out and shoot even par and really scare that. Dude, she was scaring that cut line for a long time on that Friday afternoon.
Yeah, at one point it was up to T40. It looked like she might get it done. Honestly, left quite a few shots out there. Made a bad double the first day. Missed some short putts coming in, which is kind of her weakness, but pretty impressive, man. The fairways were really firm. She was hitting that tumbling hook out there, drove it on the 15th hole, but really cool to see her go out there and shoot 69. And honestly, probably could have been a couple of shots better and might have had a chance to make the cut, but still, she showed a lot of game. Very impressive. She should be proud of her performance to go out there and shoot even par and beat a lot of really good players.
And a lot of our buddies.
It showed you
Colt,
yeah,
a lot of our
guys,
buddies.
We won't single you out.
Won't single any out. Let's just say we're both on the group text with a number of them. Some of them got out in front of it early and we're like, all right, go ahead, pile on. I just lost to Lexi. I suck. She's best. I can't do anything. And then some of them hid in the weeds and we had to drag them out. I was like, hey, bud, anything happen today? How'd you play? You beat anybody or lose anybody of note? It was a beautiful thing. But, dude, she deserves all the credit in the world for she surpassed all my expectations. And I think it was almost the best case scenario. If she could have climbed into the weekend, it would have been that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, it would have been a huge story. It looked like she was going to do it there for a little bit, but just fell a couple of shots short. But congrats to Tom Kim on another win. Really awesome to see him go out there. I mean, as the favorite to go out there and get it done. My dark horse, Adam Hadwin, who was 60-1, man.
Yeah.
I was licking my chops there for a little bit, and then the shot into the water on 16 kind of ended his day. But a little $400,000 birdie there on 18 to move from a massive tie for second to solo second. So congrats to Adam on a great week.
Yeah, that as sour as that finish is to not get the job done, making that putt on 18 to secure an extra 430, good way to leave Las Vegas. Shout out to Adam Hadwin. And we got a great interview coming up. We're talking about Joe Scovern, formerly on the bag for Rickie Fowler. We got his current guy, Ricky Romano, joining us in a minute. But Colt, I got to tell you about polo first, because the RLX Golf Collection draws inspiration from the traditional aesthetic of polo. updating it to create a modern sensibility focused on performance-driven design. From sophisticated styles to the most technologically advanced fabrics available, RLX Golf is the ultimate in functional luxury and provides pieces that are ready for whatever the conditions bring, on or off the course. Ralph Lauren is the official outfitter of the United States Ryder Cup team and partner of the AJGA. Ralph Lauren is proud to continue its sponsorship of golf ambassadors Andrea Lee, Billy Horschel, Davis Love III, Devin Bling, Doc Redman, Jonathan Bird, Nick Watney, Sean Foley, Smiley Kaufman, Todd Anderson, Tom Watson, Trevor Werblow, Troy Taylor III, Tyler Strafacci, and Zach Johnson. The RLX Golf Collection is available in select Ralph Lauren stores, exclusive private clubs and resorts, and online at ralphlauren.com. Holidays are coming up. Get yourself something nice. Get your friends something nice. BG, we're always looking nice. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, and Trevor Werblow playing alongside Lexi Thompson looked fantastic in his polo gear out there and put on a very nice show those first 2 days. But also, I'm about to head to the tee, need a little birdie juice, sleaze, and nothing better than our friends over at Tito's.
Well, funny you should bring that up because this episode is sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka and Colt. I got to ask, are you tired of being bad at golf, bud?
Yep.
Are you tired of your friends being bad at golf, but they insist on going to the course with you anyway? Introducing the Tito's Golf Club Subpar sponsorship. Now Tito's Golf Club members can nominate the Subpar golfer in their lives to be sponsored by Tito's to get cool gear and fresh fits. Yes, even if that golfer is you. Will it make your friend good at golfing? Nope. Will they look like they're good at golfing? And maybe by sheer osmosis start to be kind of okay at it? Sure. And at the very least, they have good taste in vodka. Make bad golfing look good while bad golfers get better. Join and nominate at titosgolfclub.com. Tag your friend who's subpar and needs a little help out there with a little Tito's handmade.
I have a feeling there's a few in this event today that I could probably nominate at the end of the day. But everybody go check out and get you some Tito's. Great on any occasion. All right, let's get to our guest this week. Ricky Romano, been a caddy for quite a long time. Was an unbelievable college and jicky jack player, shoots some crazy low scores, but his story is rather incredible. Shares some great insight into this year's Ryder Cup. Here he is, Ricky Romano on Subpar.
All right, folks, it is a pleasure to welcome on former jicky jack ball player turned elite bag man. He's caddied for the likes of Charlie Belgian, Nate Lashley, now currently on the bag for Rickie Fowler. He's had a hell of a ride this year. We're going to hear all about it. Ricky Romano in the building. What up, big dog?
Gentlemen.
Good to have you finally.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I think Sleaze thought Ray Romano was coming in and there was going to be a bunch of paparazzi outside. That's why he wore shades.
You like the shades? What do you think about these? I feel like prime.
He had a surgery done today, so we got to cut him a little slack.
Yeah, for the record, anyone watching on YouTube, it looks like a meatball. It is shredded. So I figured I'd do everyone a favor. Yeah, it sucks. It just feels like there's some shit in your eye at all times.
Okay.
We always joke about how we're the hardest working men in show business, but I mean, you're playing hurt right now.
Hurt, dude. Yeah, I could easily take a knee, say let's do it next week. Not for Ricky though. Not for Romano. We've been waiting to do this for a while.
We've been talking about it for sure for a minute now, so I'm glad it all worked out.
In studio too, get to have a couple pops, like old time's sake. What do you finally get a little time off? What the hell you been doing?
I've just been fishing and golfing, really.
What are you better at?
Now I'm a lot better at fishing than I am golfing.
You were a stick back in the day.
There was a time there where I could play a little bit, yeah, and we could get it going, but I'm far from that now. Far from that now.
You were at the University of Houston, I believe, the same years I was at SMU, right?
Yeah.
03 to 07?
Yep.
Yeah,
right. I had to deal with you the whole time.
I slapped you around a little bit, but y'all had a good run. Y'all had a good team down there.
We had a decent team. Yeah,
you won 8 times in 1 year.
You won conference every year. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's tough to beat you, and that's why I was.
Now we both suck.
And now look at all us. We're all shit, and we just talk about golf.
Well, we never played on tour. I mean, Colt played on tour, so.
But we played the Jicks.
We did play the Jicks.
Tell everyone about you're playing back. Like you were Houston. You won a bunch of tournaments. Your team won a bunch of tournaments. You're a good player. And how long on the Jicks?
Probably. I want to say it was like 6 or 7 years that we played. Yeah, it was a good run. I always say, like, looking back on it, like the mini tours, you find out pretty quick if you got what it takes. I mean, because it costs so much money. You're forking out $1,200 every week, which nobody really has, and you got sponsors, and you don't know how you're going to pay your car payment. And I was lucky enough to hang in there, if you will. I mean, there was a time where I thought I thought I was good enough to play on the tour because a lot of it is the belief and, you got to believe. And I think I lacked a little bit of that, just kind of going through Q School. I could never get out of second stage. But yeah, I got a scholarship to Houston. It was, I got scholarship offers from quite a few schools, a lot in Southern California, just not a full scholarship. Houston gave me 92%, which was a lot, right? That's a lot in golf. Like you're not,
and for those who don't know, golf, men's golf, it's 4.5 scholarships, and you travel with 5, and most teams have 8 to 12 guys, so there's not that much to divvy up. So when you take 92%,
you got a quarter of the deal almost, yeah.
I did, yeah, and I negotiated that too. Funny enough, like I remember, because
you were born to be a caddy.
I did. I negotiated that whole deal. We went the last night I was in Houston on my recruiting trip. We went to this Chinese restaurant downtown, and I told the coach, I was like, "Listen," I said, "I'm not coming here for anything less than 90%. Like, I looked him right in the face, and he kind of looked at me funny and was like, "Well, okay," he goes, "I'm gonna have to get back to you on that." I go, "That's fine." I said, "Just let me know." And he got back to me. I flew out the next day. He got back to me pretty quick, maybe a couple days later, and was like, "How does 92% sound?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Better than 90.
That's more than 90. Yeah.
I said, "I'll sign that." I said, "Where do I sign?" And the golf in Houston is amazing. The courses that we got to play, everybody was so good to us. Like Mondays, we would go play Royal Oaks Country Club, which was out west. Tuesday, we played River Oaks. Every Tuesday, we played River Oaks.
That's where all the rich folks live in Houston.
Oh, yeah. A lot of old oil money and such a cool track. That was the closest course. We had to drive a long way, and that was the only real downer about playing golf at Houston was just the driving to the courses every day. And, it was 45 minutes to an hour everywhere we went, and traffic and all that good stuff.
You're really selling the University of Houston right now.
What else is sweet about it?
But no, they're
girls are ugly as no, I'm kidding.
It's they
got some talent.
They do. Houston does have some talent. It's a melting pot, if you will. Of different styles of women.
Different styles.
Well
said.
Well said.
Styles. Where were you looking in Southern Cal? Because it's hard to pull a Southern Cal kid. You're from Marietta, but hard to pull a Southern Cal kid out of Southern Cal.
Definitely, yeah. I really wanted, honestly, I wanted to go to Arizona State. That was where I wanted to go. They gave Nicholas Lemke, I think you remember him. He was nice. He
should have been it.
He should have been. I think everybody thought that too.
Yeah.
He was a stud, and they gave most of the scholarship to him. And then another dude actually from Riverside, Phil Telliard, I think that was his last name. We played against him in high school, and they gave him a bunch of money, and I just wasn't getting enough to where it was like, hey, I couldn't do it. My family, we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. My mom, she gave almost every penny that we had to let me travel and play AJGAs, and I kind of had a deal with her where it was like, hey, Mom, I know we don't have a lot of money, but if I go and play some of these tournaments, like maybe I could, get some national recognition, and maybe some coaches will see me, and maybe I'll get a scholarship. And she's like, okay, let's do that. And the first AJGA that I ever played in was in Michigan. I got I wrote a letter, and they gave me an invite to it, and I won the tournament. And it was like, from there, it was just like, it's all confidence, right? From there, it was just.
Yeah. And back in those days, I mean, not to make us sound extremely old, but like the AJGAs, there wasn't as many of them as there is nowadays. Like, they were hard to get into. Like, it was a special deal. It didn't matter where you lived. If there was an AJGA and you got in, you went to it.
Mm-hmm. You went to it. Yeah. And I was traveling to the qualifiers out here for the Heather Farr. I must have played in probably a handful of qualifiers for AJGA before I got that invite to just play in a tournament. And I could never qualify. Like, they only take like 2, 3, 4 spots, I think. But yeah, from there, like I said, I got a scholarship. I played well enough to get a scholarship to Houston. And then from there, I actually met Charlie Belgian in college. It was my senior year at regionals. I think it was at Tucson National. Another guy on our team went to high school with him and introduced me to him. And I was like, I like Charlie, So I moved to Mesa when I graduated in 2007 to play on the Gateway Tour with you.
Shout out.
Yeah. And Ryan Prey. We'll shout out Ryan Prey. He's the man.
Talked to him yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah. That tour was sweet back in the day, dude. And there were some players. It was a good tour. They don't have that anymore.
They had like an A and a B group, or it was like, You knew who was donating money. You knew who wasn't
They
going
were
to
the
play
best,
well.
by the way.
They were the best. Like, you know, and we respected those guys who just, you know, we knew they weren't going to make any cuts. And, but yeah, I mean, from.
I had a question about the Gateway Tour.
Go ahead.
No, so I'm curious because, so like back then, like what place did you have to finish like to break even?
Gosh,
that's
a
what
great
people
question.
don't understand.
Dude,
It's
back
like,
in that era, so when I first got out, I'm the same age as you. We probably started playing at the same time. It was like, dude, I can remember my first one. I finished like 8th, and I made like $3,800, whatever it was. I was like, oh my god! I just like profited $2,600, like 12. Depended if you bought the whole season or a one-off event. I think if you bought a one-off, it was like $1,200. If you bought the whole season, it was like 1,000-ish, right?
Right,
more or less.
Like 10,000 for a series, I think.
But dude, like it was a 20-piece back in the day. If you won, it was like
it was,
the dudes that were winning were making money. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it was like if you beat Charlie, or if you beat Jesse Mueller, you know, or there was a handful of guys. If you beat them, you were gonna finish, and
like
you were gonna finish in the top 5. Like, I mean, it was like Charlie was winning, Jesse Mueller was winning. Let's see, Brady played really well. Stockton played really well.
Like, it was the same dudes, like over, like, you know, more or less.
Yeah,
over and over. Harrington would play decent, you know, play good some.
Harrington,
like
yep.
It's basically just
Nate Tyler was good for a while.
Yeah.
John Ellis.
It's an
John
organized
Ellis.
gambling game.
It's literally you play for your own money, and then the house takes a rake. It's just like going to Vegas. Like they're like,
you ride in carts.
We'll chop this a little bit to set up the event and organize it, and then y'all play for everyone's money, and that was what it was. But back in that day, there was enough dudes you could stay afloat. You could make enough money.
What was
do
why do you think the mini tours have, I mean, for the most part, gone away?
Boy, that's a good question. I would think that it would have gotten better.
There's been some scandals too.
I mean, the scandals is obviously a problem, but like those ones, like the Gateway Tour, that was legit stuff. I mean, the Hooters Tour was legit. Like there was no problem paying out people there, but those tours kind of just went away.
I don't know, because they were always around when we played. Did you play that National Pro Golf Tour?
I never
the one
did.
That like ended up going belly up, and they owed a bunch. They ended up paying off the top part, like the guys they owed, the top 10 guys they owed money to. They paid them, and everyone else got like screwed out of their money. They stopped paying for like months.
I did
like stuff like that happens.
Did you get in on that?
Yeah, I ended up getting paid. Thank God, because I just won one. I was like, you give me my goddamn money.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a bunch of people didn't, and then that went away. And that's happened to like a handful of them.
I know. I was curious. Like,
but that's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, what was the one out in the e-golf tour or whatever?
E-golf was big.
E-golf.
E-golf had nice dude like Potter. I think used to clean that tour up. Wasn't he?
Chad Campbell won
Potter
like 400 times on the Hooters tour.
Right.
Yeah,
Zach
there was one in
Johnson,
Florida. I don't know the name of it. They had like 1 or 2 day events, like smaller, but you could win them over and over and win a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, at what point did you realize, okay, this isn't going the way I want to? Like, I'm not going to make it to the PGA Tour. I got to try something else.
You know, it happened pretty organically, honestly. Charlie was on tour at the time. This was in 2000 and I want to say it was 12 or 13. I want to say it was 12.
Yeah.
And he came to me, and I was still playing. Like, I honestly, at the time, I didn't know. Like, I was having for like a couple weeks. I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna this and that? And then Charlie called me and was like, hey, man, would you mind coming to work for me for like 2 or 3 weeks? It's on the West Coast. The first one's at LA. The next one's going to be in Florida at the Honda. And then I think Valspar or something after that, which is in Tampa. And, you know, he's like, you can make a few bucks, you know, a couple extra bucks, maybe continue playing. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. You know, and the first week, Riviera, we were in the final group on Saturday and Sunday. We were leading after Friday, I believe. I think we were tied for the lead. And at the end of the week, unfortunately, we kind of had a falter there on 9. I remember Charlie had a 4-putt. Unfortunately, I don't want to bring up any negative stuff. Bad read, maybe on my 3 bad reads on my bad. That could have been what it was. But we ended up finishing, I believe, tied for 11th. And he wrote me a check that week. It was a pretty hefty check, and I remember looking at the check and going, this is more money than I've ever made on the mini tours. Like, maybe I can just continue doing this. And actually, you know, I never really even had a conversation with Charlie about it afterwards, or like while it was going on. I ended up caddying for Charlie for, I believe, 3.5 years. And since that day, since LA, I've been caddying on tour ever since that day. So
So you've never you did some Corn Ferry here and there, but for the most part, it's been all PGA Tour since that time.
All PGA Tour. I only caddied on the Corn Ferry for 3/4 of a year. I caddied for Aaron Weiss, and I helped him get his card that year, and things just ended up not working out with him. And
that's pretty impressive, though. I mean, just out of nowhere, picking up a bag, your buddy, and then you've been out there ever since.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, a blessing for sure.
What was that like, though? Your first week on the bag, you're at LA, which is one of the biggest tournaments on the PGA Tour, and you're in the final group. I mean, it's got to be crazy adrenaline, buzz, all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, it was a rush. Yeah. It was a rush for sure. And that 18th hole, I just remember, especially on Saturday, coming down the stretch, because we were right there, and just everybody, and you could feel everyone's energy on the 18th green, and made the hair stand up on my neck, man. And I just like the feeling, and I'm like, man, I love this. Like I don't want to hit the shots anymore, you know, like I'm good. Like, you know, it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, man, I wish I could hit the shots for Charlie or whoever I was caddying for. It was never like that. It was like, man, I just want them to play well, and anything that I can do to help them or was just what I want to do. And sometimes it's like not saying anything, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the best caddies like, just shut up, let them play. They're playing good. Like just give them a number, tell them what the wind is, and get out of their way.
Yeah, Riviera was a cash cow for Charlie.
That's what I was about to say. You picked him up on a nice week. He's a monster there. Great golf course for him.
Great golf course for him. I mean, he bombed it, especially back then. He really ripped it, and just all those par fours out there. He hit that high fade, real controlled fade. And, you know, he was kind of a streaky putter, Charlie was. But, man, when he was on with the putter, like he had the confidence rolling, boy, he could get it going.
He could go.
And when you first started caddying for him, obviously you'd known him for a while. But, like, now everyone bombs it.
Everybody
But he,
does.
like, was one of those guys that was different. Back then when he first got on tour, like, there was a handful of guys that was like, holy shit, that guy moves it. Now you say that about 100 guys.
Sure, you're right. Yeah, for whatever reason. You know, maybe that's just the working out thing, or that's just the way guys have, you know, come up the ranks. Maybe that's because of Tiger. I don't know, you know, because everybody looked up to Tiger, right? You know, us
never heard of
growing up. Right. I mean, it's like he kind of set the bar as far as working out and bombing it and getting strong. So I think that might have been what it was. So.
Yeah, but Charlie was like one of the first dudes I remember playing with that could move it like over 300 through the air. There were guys that could land it at 280 and kind of chase it and hit these little hot ones, and if they got firm fairways, could get it out there. Charlie was like, oh, that bunker's 298 cover, like not even. And that's when I was like, when I played with him, I was like, if this kid don't make it, like, then none of us are, because he can do things that are different. He was one of the first. And so you get with him. How long were you with him on the first?
I think it was about 3.5 years I caddied for Charlie. And I got a phone call to caddy for Aaron. This was when I started working for Aaron. I told Charlie, I was like, hey, man, I just got this opportunity to work for Aaron. He had just won the NCAA title and had the pedigree. And, you know, at the time, I'm like, man, if I can kind of stick with him and, you know, see how he does, like, you know, maybe something good might come, but I don't know, you know. I really didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was just like, just kind of going and trying to work my way up the ranks. I'm like, if I can get him, maybe then, you know,
Well, he's one of those guys that, I mean, he was destined to be a superstar on the PGA Tour. And I mean, he's had a really nice career so far. He's won out there and everything, but like that was a gamble on your part, but one, like,
definitely.
Those, if you're like, call me when you get to the tour, you know, that bag might not be there anymore.
For sure. And that was the kind of deal, that was the deal that I had with Aaron and his people was, they wanted somebody to go down there and put in the time with him and then go to the tour. And for whatever reason, I got a phone call a week before the last turn, or actually it was a few days before the last tournament, and they let me go. And, I was definitely hurt for sure, just because I had put in a lot of time and I did a lot of extra work for Aaron on the Corn Ferry, just going out there and shooting a lot of random stuff. Just because the books I didn't think were that great, and
it's a sacrifice. I mean, the money's not the same out there as it is on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I don't know how a lot of guys survive.
The job is more or less the same, but it's like you're taking a pay cut.
Definitely.
To do it.
Huge pay cut.
Yeah. So when he makes it and then they're like, hey, we're going a different direction, at that point, you got to be like, dude, like, things are going well. Like, we're getting our car. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he got his car.
Why are you breaking this? Why are you breaking up the band?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know. Things were really good, I thought. Maybe Aaron thought something different. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. It's fine.
It's all worked out.
It's all worked out. I
pans out.
We all as caddies would kind of say, like, you haven't actually caddied until you've been fired a few times. Like, I mean, there's the few guys that get a bag and they stay with these guys for, X amount of years or whatever. But there's just not very many of them, right? I mean,
no, there's a handful of guys that have had the same bag for, over a decade. Like, that just doesn't happen that often. I mean, you're around each other more than you're around your wife, girlfriend, partner, whatever it is. Like, you get sick of each other. There's no doubt.
Right.
And the player can't fire himself.
That's right. I mean, you got to blame somebody,
yeah.
And I get it. Like, I mean, the caddy's got to go. The caddy's got to go. I mean, I totally get it. But I think it, it definitely prepares you. It definitely opens your eyes, I guess. It was very eye-opening for me to get fired. I'd never been fired from any jobs or anything that I had. Granted, I didn't have many jobs growing up. I mean, I did. I work at golf courses and stuff, but that kind of stuff, when it was like, actually, I felt like it was my career, and getting fired, I mean, it was like very uneasy. You're at home. You're like waiting for a phone call. Is anyone ever going to call me? I mean, what am I going to do if nobody calls me, right? Like, I mean, what am I going to do? I don't know.
You found your way into a rather nice bag in Rickie Fowler. But I got to know, going back, I mean, you're from Marietta.
Yeah.
Joe Scovrin, Rickie Fowler. Was Joe like an idol to you guys kind of growing up? God, I hope not. This could be terrifying.
Oh my God, an idol. That's not a word.
Did y'all look up to Joe Scovrin?
Well, he's a quarterback at the other school.
Yeah.
Across town, right?
Yeah. It was Linfield, I want to say. It was a private, I want to say it was a private school.
Yeah. He's playing with the private school.
It was, Joe, I would say it was more Joe and his parents. They started Valley Junior Golf, which was the junior tour that we all grew up playing. It all meant so much to us. I know it meant a lot to me to play in all of their tournaments. And Joe was always out there whenever he had time. Like, if he was in college, I forget the timing, if he was in college then when we were playing, because he's 4 years older than me and he's 8 years older than Rick.
You're the middle child.
I'm the middle child, definitely. Just Valley Junior Golf was it had such a huge impact on my life. Just playing tournaments, like they left the door open for, I guess, for a lack of a better term, like they gave everybody an opportunity to play tournament golf, and in Marietta when it wasn't very big, like it just, Marietta when we grew up there was pretty small. Like, it's huge now. Just like Southern California. I mean, anywhere in Southern California, everybody wants to live there. It's over congested. Everybody's leaving now, but
I really thought
because y'all made it out, and now you got like Kevin Doherty's coming out. Like, he's another one. Like, dude, there's a nice little
it was a hotbed
tree coming out of Marietta.
It was a hotbed for sure, and I don't want to toot my own horn.
No, you can do it.
Toot the shit out of it.
Self-suck is what we like to call it in the show.
That's what we're all about on this
show. A past guest.
Yeah, dude. Suck away.
I just think I feel like I kind of set the bar for a lot of those guys in Marietta. I do.
Shit, yes.
Like, I was very driven. Like, I wanted to go. I was one of the first ones to get a college scholarship like that in college, and I think a lot of guys looked up to that. Not to mention, not many of those guys could beat me back then. Rick was probably the only one that could beat me back then.
You had game. There's no doubt. Everybody knows that. They admit it.
How tight were you and Rick? Like, he's 4 years younger than you, but like coming up, you saw like, all right, this is the next wave. He's clearly going to be good. But how close were you guys at that time?
We've always been real, like, good friends. Like, I wasn't like I was talking to him every day or calling him. We were hanging out. Like, he had his group of friends. We never played together in high school because I'm 4 years older than he is, right? So it's like when I graduated, he was coming in, which is kind of unfortunate. It would have been cool to play with Rick, but times where we were there, we'd go play Bear Creek, or we had a lot of mutual friends where, a lot of good players, other players that didn't necessarily make it that we all knew, and we'd all play together in skins games at Bear Creek. They have a Friday game there. Or we'd go to SCGA, which was our home course in high school, which is where Rick shot 62 in state. My parents and I lived on the 11th green there, and I went out there that day. I was in town. It was like my freshman year believe it was my freshman year of college, and I was in town, and I went out there and watched him. He shot 62, and I think it's still the course record today. But yeah, I was just, Rick and I, we've always had a relationship, and I think we've always had a lot of respect for each other. There's just like an unwritten like respect that we have for each other. That's just, like I've always respected his game, and I've always known that he was going to do great things. And, I'd like to say that Rick's kind of had that kind of respect for me too. But granted, I never played on tour or anything, but,
Yeah, but I mean, he knows you had game obviously growing up, and
yeah,
you've been a great caddy out on the PGA Tour. I want to know like how the job with him came about, because obviously him and Joe Scovrin were together for a very long time. I mean, basically since the second Rickie Fowler turned pro.
Yeah.
And so when they split, I mean, it was a big deal. And the question was, who's going to be Rickie Fowler's next caddy? And I know he was struggling a little bit, but that's a really good bag. And now Rickie's back to playing the way we know he should. But what was it like for you? I mean, did you give him a call? Did you give his team a call? Like, what was the interview process like to get that job?
Yeah, I when I heard, actually, it's funny. I texted Scov. It might have been that Sunday of the Wyndham, because they played the Wyndham, and I believe they split that after the round that day. And I texted him and I asked him a question about like, hey, are you going to be in town this day? Are we going to play golf? Or it was something to that extent. And he goes, blah, blah, blah. He goes, actually, Rick and I, we just split. He goes, I recommended you for the job when I left.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, you do that, do with it what you will, whether you want to call Rick or if you just want to leave it alone. And I'm like, at the time I'm caddying for cool. Nate Lashley. Yeah. And he said that. And, I don't necessarily know if I was supposed to say that or if Joe wanted me to say that, but that, I just feel like,
no, that's a really cool move.
thing of Joe to do.
Really cool thing of Joe to do. And I've thanked him numerous times, and I'll thank him again. Scov, thank you, man. It just, Joe's more like family to me than he is a friend. And that goes for his parents. Just kind of like I said, going back to the Valley Junior Golf days of, Joe's on the cart with the jug of water, and he's asking, hey, need some water, this and that. He just always kind of looked out after us, and yeah, just so getting back to the whole deal with Rickie. So I'm like, okay, wow, like I never ever thought that they would ever split up, ever. So I got on my phone and I actually texted Rick, and I never got a response because it was a couple days later. And I said, I get, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, I get it. And he's going to need some time to think about it. And I'm sure everybody's calling him to, say, hey, I'm the guy, I'd like to caddy for you, this and that.
Yeah.
Guys are flying out to his house. Maybe I don't know. So I gave it some time, and I was visiting my mom in Vancouver, Washington, all my cousins out there. And this was like just before Christmas. And I'll never forget it. I was in an LA Fitness. I was working out one morning, and something told me to like send him another message. Like just say, hey, have you found a caddy, or have you thought about it? Or, just, can you give me something? Or, and so I saw he was on Instagram. I sent him a direct message on Instagram, and 2 minutes later, he called me, and we talked for like 10, 15 minutes, just kind of caught up. And then he offered me the job. He said, yeah, I'd like to have you come caddy for me. And I said, yeah, man, absolutely. Let's
slide in the DMs. It works. Yeah. Everyone listening, slide into the DMs. All right, some big news here from Subpar. We have officially launched our own YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe at golf_subpar on YouTube. Check out this week's video. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff. Colt, we got some cool behind the scenes stuff coming, and give you a little outside look at some of the stuff outside the studio. So please like, please subscribe. You're the best listeners in the game. We love you. Back to the show. Explain this, because this happens a lot, and it's a business out there in golf, right? You got a caddy, player, things change. A lot of the times the caddy's the first one to get kicked to the curb if things aren't going well, but there are times like this where you got a good bag with Nate, but also here comes another opportunity. Sure. What's that conversation like with Nate when all of a sudden you're like, dude, I got an opportunity with Rickie? Like, how do you break that to your current guy?
I didn't think it was going to go well with Nate. let me just say that
it was gonna go well.
I didn't think it was gonna go well, but it went amazing. It did. Like Nate,
really?
Yeah,
Props to Nate.
Props to Nate. Nate, I mean, I could do nothing but thank Nate just because I caddied for Nate for about 3 years as well. And,
yeah, you had a good run too, by the way.
We had a great run.
Yeah.
He played great, and I just thanked him, man. I mean, that's pretty much what I did. I just said, thanks, Nate. Like, thank you for everything. I'm sorry I have to leave. And you could tell he was very appreciative of that. And, yeah, I mean, Rick was kind of concerned about it too. Rick goes, well, what are you going to tell Nate? And I was like, well, I'm
not going to tell him. You tell him.
Tweet it. Tweet it. Do something.
Yeah.
Have a press conference.
Yeah. So I called Nate, and like I said, I thanked him, and he took it well. And, yeah, and then I showed up. Actually, Rick wanted me to go and hang out with him for a couple days and do a little bit of work before we went to Napa last year. And so we took me out to the Grove. We got to play some golf, and I just got to kind of get a feel for his distances and stuff like that, and which I kind of already had an idea on. And but yeah, we showed up in Napa, and he finished tied for 6th, and off and running, we went from there. He just started building confidence.
That's my question, because obviously, I mean, you picked up the bag at a point where, like, I mean, he wasn't playing his best. I mean, this is a guy that...
He was 185th in the world.
There you go, 185th in the world, a guy that's been a top 5 player in the world, finished top 5 in all 4 majors in one season. Like, I mean, he's been the guy. Yeah. And he was struggling. So what was that process like? You pick up the bag, and like you said, first week out, you finished tied for 6th in Napa.
Yeah.
So it's off to a really good start, but... What was it like? Because, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Ricky from the media because he gets so much attention. He has so many fans. Like, it's different than any other guy that was really good and then struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Rickie Fowler. So what was it like, trying to help him get back to the Rickie Fowler of old?
Well, I honestly think that it's a testament to all the hard work that Rick has put in with Butch. I mean, you can see it in Rick's swing videos, like how laid off he was before and trying to figure it out. And, this isn't a knock on Tillery at all, this and that, because they just, from what I understand, I wasn't around it at all. It was just like they were speaking a different language. Rick couldn't really put it together. Him and Butch, or they just see eye to eye. Butch can kind of put it to Rick in a certain way that he understands it, because Rick's not a real technical guy. He has unbelievable feel and unbelievable raw talent. To me, you're
right.
He's just he's a golf savant, if you will. Nice. I mean, that's just kind of that's the way I kind of look at him, and I know a lot of guys do. But yeah, I honestly, grabbing the bag, I didn't know how it was going to go. It could have gone shit. It was a 4-week. It was a 4-week trial. Rick's like, it's going to be a 4-week trial, just like it kind of is with everyone. They're not like, hey, yeah, you're going to caddy for me for 10 years. Like, this is what, there's no contracts. Like, you can get fired anytime. And I understand Rick a lot. I understand how he is. I don't know. I guess it's just, I know how to deal with Rick. I don't look at Rick like a lot of people look at Rick, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you knew him before he was
I knew him before he was Rickie Fowler. Like, he's always been a friend of mine. I look at him the same way. Like, he treats me, he's always treated me with so much respect. And that was always kind of my thing with Joe and Rick, was with all the success that they had, like, they never treated me any differently than they did when we were kids. And that's always gone, so far with me. Like, it's just, I have nothing but respect for both of them.
You know what's really cool about, like, that situation is that, like, Rick and Joe were together for so long, right? That was one of the longest relationships, one of the closest relationships.
Yeah.
They split. Joe finds a home with Tom Kim. They have success right away. You come on with Rick, and you guys have success right. It was like happily ever after for both. But you know what I mean? It wasn't like one takes off and the other one flounders. It was like, boom, everybody's having success. I thought that was a really cool deal when it happened. But going to, like, the caddying for Rick, because Rickie's a different monster than almost everybody else in the world of golf, right? In terms of the fans and stuff like that. How much more, like, involved you have to get with regulating fans and shit like that. Like, the stuff that it goes beyond, here's your yardage, here's your wind.
Yeah. Rick's fans are amazing. Like they're very respectful for the most part. We go overseas and guys get a little chippy, and want to take a shot at him, this and that. But for the most part, I just got to tell him to be quiet and move back a little bit, because everybody wants to get close to Rick. They want to like touch him, or they want to get close,
Yeah.
which I get it. I understand Rick, Rick's Rick, but no, it's the fans and stuff are amazing, and it's so cool to be out there amongst all that, and just taking all that in, and really I don't really get to enjoy it all that much, because like we're in the heat of the battle, It's like the fans are there and this and that, and everybody's yelling, screaming, hooting, and hollering, but it's like, okay, next shot we got a 7-iron, the pin's back right. What are we, what are we doing, But Rick is he's amazing to caddy for, like just the way that he treats you, as opposed to other guys that I work for that really can give it to you bad, or which I get. Like I understand, like you gotta give it to somebody. Like I mean, it's you're hitting the shots, but if it's not you, it's me, right? So I get it, I totally get it. But Rick's not like that, Rick is different. For whatever reason,
he's just one of the classiest out there. There's no doubt. I mean,
without question.
He is,
without question,
without a doubt. And everybody's like, it's true. Like the guy is such a genuinely nice, good dude. Like, and I can say that, like, it's not a made up thing. It's not like people are like, he's been, grilled on this, like this is how you have to act. Like this is Rick, this is how he acts. Like he just gets it, you know what I mean? And it's very special to caddy for Rick, and I don't take it for granted at all. And honestly, Rick is I don't want to say easier to caddy for than other guys, but he doesn't demand a whole lot. The thing that I believe I help Rick with is when he's in between shots, or like he's not really sure what to hit, like I know what he needs to hit. Like I'm like, Rick, it's not the 7. He's got a 7 and 8. I'm like, it's the 8. Just hit the 8. It's not going to go past the pin. It might be a little short. If you hit it good, it'll get to the pin, but it's not going over, or something like that, to that kind of extent. I don't read a lot of his putts, which if I was playing and I had someone caddying for me, I'm not asking them to read my putts either. Like it's such a feel thing. You're seeing the line, this and that may be just me, but that's kind of how Rick goes about it as well. So I think that's good.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to like how genuine he is and how nice of a guy he is, like, I mean, in my job now, I go to the range before the guys tee off, and he is probably by far the most welcoming of the guys on the range. Like, I mean, I come up and like, I don't want to interrupt your warm up, but I also want to talk a little bit, see what's going on. And he'll stop his warm up and turn around and talk, and to the point where I'm like, Rick, you got to warm up and go. But I want to give you credit, because at the U.S. Open this year, I ran into you on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was like, how's it going? You're like, it's coming. You said it's coming. And I told a lot of people that, I was like, look out.
Yeah.
They're feeling it right now. And there you are. You find yourself in the final pairing at the U.S. Open. And I know it didn't go the way you wanted, but a few weeks later, you win in Detroit. Yeah. And in my opinion, one of the greatest celebrations I've ever seen in the game of golf, when Ricky made – no, not yours. Yours was not the best.
We'll get to yours in a second, dog.
But Ricky's, because everything he's been through over 4 years since he had won, and no fist pump, no nothing. It was just the shoulders just dropped, and it was like, holy shit, thank God.
It was like relief.
Yeah, you could see the monkey come off of his back. Yeah. Like, I think that's kind of why I reacted the way that I did. I mean, honestly, I blacked out when the putt went in. I just blacked out. It was just pure.
You got emotion. This high off the ground, dog. You and Phil, they're measuring you and Phil, like who's higher, who's got
a higher jump. Yeah. Well, I was just so happy for Rick, because I know the time he's put in, and it's not easy to come back in golf from where he was in that place. And golf beats you up. I mean, it punches you in the mouth more than it hugs you, right? I mean, and
you lose a lot more than you win in this game.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, a lot more. And to see him kind of react like that, like I mean, it was just, and all the fans and just the atmosphere around that green, you just felt. I glanced at the putt, like I walked by. I normally glance at all of his putts, but that one especially, and I was like, man, this putt's like left edge, and I just don't think he's gonna miss, And I was like, if he's, and it came down to him, they, who was it? It was
Morikawa and Hadwin.
And Hadwin had just burned the edge, and then Morikawa had that chip,
yeah.
And something inside of me just said that the dude's gonna make this, man. And it just, when it came off the putter, got halfway there, I was kind of creeping back there and looking at it, and it went in, and it was just.
You look like a jack in the box, like someone was winding it, and then when it went in, you went bam! It popped out.
I had a picture of it queued up here, so I was going to show you how far you thought you got off the ground there, but
yeah,
you were. It was the greatest like non-celebration celebration. It wasn't even a cel. He didn't do shit. Just like, oh, like thank God it's over, because like his expectation, I was like, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? And even though he was playing better, it's like doesn't count until you win. Yeah. And then it finally did. And I was like, the weight off his shoulder, holy shit! It had to be like
I said
quantifiable at that point. Like, dude, he's a different dude now.
I said on our Sirius XM show, it looked like me and John McGinnis got off his back when that putt went in.
Yeah, a couple of
silverback gorillas just jumped off that thing.
Serious question: why are you so nice in Detroit?
Yeah.
You need to auction yourself off for like a Monday qualifier. Somebody that needs like a ticket to the, you know what I mean? Who wants me? It's 75% of the paycheck, but you're gonna have a tour card.
You win again, Eminem's gonna start getting nervous. You might be taking over his town.
Yeah, dude. Dan Campbell, Marshall will be coming out.
Yeah, no, I have such a good relationship with the Rocket Mortgage folks there. Casey Herbis, who's the CMO, and everybody with Rocket Mortgage that is a part of the tournament. I'm leaving out a lot of names, but there's just the vibe there. Ever since Nate and I won there in 19, the vibe has just been amazing. And they've always taken care of me since then. And I just enjoy going back there and being a part of the tournament. Plus, it's a really cool course.
It is a cool course.
It's kind of unlike any course we play on tour. It's not very long. It's old school, big trees. Been there forever. You don't have to bomb it to play well. But no, just the vibe. I got a good buddy who actually lives here in town that is from Michigan that spends the summers there, and I stay with him. And yeah, it's
a good event.
You're adopted child of Detroit.
Yeah, I might have to get a place there for the summer, maybe one of these days. That might be in my future.
Have a good run.
Yeah, they got some good bass fishing up there.
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
do some fishing.
You are a big fisherman, which we'll get into in a little bit. But obviously, with this great play, it led to Ricky being a captain selection for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Go over to Rome, part of Team USA.
Yeah. Which was a big goal of ours. For
sure.
Which, we didn't really talk about it a lot, but I knew it was a big goal for Rick to make the Ryder Cup. And I knew we obviously had to win to kind of get in that conversation. And he did. Yeah. And he got a captain's pick.
Yeah. So. And it was one, some people might have questioned it, but not many, honestly. They knew he played well.
Yeah.
Rickie Fowler's, he's a team guy. He belonged on that team, but going over there, it's your first time in a Ryder Cup. You're going over there to across the pond and not the most welcoming environment. But what was the week like for you? I know, obviously, it didn't go the way you wanted with y'all finished second. You only played twice.
Sure.
Because of some certain things. But what was it like for you as a caddy? Stepping out there on the tunnel, that first tee with that arena there in Rome.
Can't even describe it. It was... it gives you the chills. I think we were coming off the tee there, and I think it was either Davis Love or Freddie. And I just remember telling them, man, I've still got the goosebumps. Just, there's nothing like that first tee in a Ryder Cup. And Bones actually told me, he goes, if you guys aren't playing in the morning, he goes, you do not want to miss that first tee. He goes, just make sure that you're there. And I go, yeah. I said, absolutely, Bones. What, anything else you want me to do? I said,
yeah.
Because Bones has been so great to me, who's also a great friend of Scov's. And, he's just kind of taken me under his wing a little bit and kind of guided me in a way, and just always has something nice to say and always comes up and says hi. And, but yeah, no, being on that team, it was my first Ryder Cup and as a caddy, and it was just, it was amazing. Even though we didn't win, and You know, we had a chance to win there with about an hour to go. You know, after
It got tight.
After being down as much as we were, you know, we hung in there. We gave it a good run there at the end, and you know, unfortunately, we just fell a little bit short. So.
When did you guys realize, like, oh, because you guys were late in the game, it was like it might not even, it could be mathematically over after 4 matches. You know, after the first 4 go off, and then all of a sudden things start turning. When did you realize, like, holy shit, like we might calculate into this thing?
I thought about it the night before. Actually, I was like, if we win. We start winning up front there, you know, because Luke put out his big guns. Obviously, there was like 3 or 4 guys. You know, he
was trying to end it early.
He was. You could tell, like just by looking at the pairings, he was really trying to force the issue there. And our guys, they showed up. They were performing well, and it came down. I mean, I don't want to say it came down to our match. I just, you know, it was a 3-day tournament. You know, it situationally. You know, Rick took on that tee shot. You know, I give him a lot of credit. Rick's, you know, I mean, the balls to take on that tee shot on that drivable par 4, like he was trying to hit it on that green or trying to hit it at the flag. I mean, didn't really have a choice, but most guys I just think are going to be bailing out there to the left and, you know, just kind of going from there, which wasn't really an easy shot over there from the left either.
Not where that hole location was. No, not at all. And I mean, that was such a great hole for the Ryder Cup, where that was in the round and everything.
Awesome.
But going back to Rick, like playing twice. I mean, there was reports early in the week that he was sick under the weather.
Yeah.
Were you all surprised that, 1, that he went out Friday morning, and 2, that he only ended up playing twice for the week? And you can obviously, certain things stay in the team room, so you don't have to.
Sure.
You tell us whatever you want.
Yeah, no.
Excuse me.
I wasn't surprised that he played Friday morning at all. No, I wasn't. I just I was surprised they only played twice, and I get it. You know, he wasn't feeling well. I guess the week before he had a sinus infection, and it kind of was lingering on when we showed up in Rome, and I ended up getting sick too, and I think quite a few other guys on the team got sick too. So I think Zach was just, you know, just a little weary, maybe, if you will. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I don't necessarily know if that's true. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was Zach's team, and that was the decision that Zach made, and I have nothing but respect for Zach and the decision that he made and who he put out there. I mean, it's his team, so, you know.
It's one of those things like he and I talk about, and we beat that thing to death because we were on air for a million hours before. It's like, it's so easy to second guess after the fact. If you don't come out before the stuff, or as soon as they're announced and question it, then it's like, dude, I don't want to hear shit after the fact if they don't win. Because there were some other pairings, by the way, that I was like, wow, that's an odd one. I didn't expect them to go. And then they won. And like, everyone's like, great call. Smart. Just, I was like, if that team lost, like, they would have butchered him for it. You know, it's just the second guessing is it's weak.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah,
I mean,
easy to go back. Oh, you shouldn't have played.
Yeah,
you should have took him. I
didn't expect Morikawa. Was it Morikawa and Burns to go out, and then they won 4-3, like killed 4-3, and I was like, that would have been one if they lose 4-3. If you flip that, it's boom.
Yeah,
and you know, you were there. You know everything that was going on, and you know, obviously that report came out with the whole hat thing with Patrick Cantlay, and the part that bothered me the most about that report wasn't the hat thing and the players wanting to get paid, because first off, if Patrick Cantlay wants to get paid, he's not the first person.
Sure.
I mean, that's been going on for years. But the thing that bothered me was saying that he's caused a fractured locker room. And I think that was one thing that never was confirmed. And you were there, and all the players come out and say, that's bullshit. Like, we were very close. And as a guy that was there, I mean, did you see anything where there was any kind of conflict between the team at all?
None whatsoever. The only thing, like I said, like we've talked about, this was my first Ryder Cup, so I don't know how teams were in the past, but the feel was that this was one of the more tighter knit groups of players. And that was the feel that I had. You know, everybody was just, you know, it wasn't like Patrick's an outcast or, you know, he's trying to do this. I mean, honestly, the guy was getting married. Patrick was getting married on Monday. You know, it wasn't about getting paid. It wasn't about that. I mean, it was more of, I believe, this is my take on it,
forehead tan.
Yeah, we don't want to have the farmer's tan. We're getting married in Rome.
These are for forever.
Yeah, and he doesn't really like wearing hats, from what I understand. Like, hats don't fit his head very, very well. So it's like, if I don't have to wear a hat, like, why am I going to wear one anyway? So it has nothing to do with getting paid.
He made that comment to Steve Sands, like, I don't know if it was joking, if it was serious, where he's like, hey, when I get paid like he does, I'll wear a hat and all this.
Yeah.
He didn't wear a hat in 21.
Yeah.
Went over at Whistling Straits, and no one said he was protesting for money or anything like that. So that's where I had a problem with it. And like, whatever. Right. If he wants to get paid, that's up to him. Like, I get it. I mean, this is a tournament that makes the PGA of America, the DP World Tour, a lot of money.
Right.
And the players don't make anything. I know they get $200,000 to donate to their charity. If they want to get paid, that's fine. Like, but it's not going to take away from Patrick Cantlay playing well in the Ryder Cup. Like,
no.
If you don't think he cared, you're out of your mind. Just look at the finish on Saturday when he went birdie on 16, 17, 18.
That's right. I mean, you're playing for your country. At the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's not about anything but the USA and bringing that Ryder Cup back to the States, man. I mean, that's really what it's all about. And when you're out there in the heat of the battle, that's all that matters.
Would you say that's like the highlight of your caddying career so far, being a part of that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely that. And the wins, I mean, that win with Rick and just what it meant was just very special and will always be something that I will look back on as like a highlight of my caddy career for sure.
Awesome.
Ryder Cup's definitely, yeah, I mean.
That's tough to beat.
Before we get back to the episode, I want to tell you about Rad Golf, the up-and-coming golf and lifestyle brand. This thing is making a lot of buzz. They got watches, rangefinders, and most importantly, speakers. For all you that likes to get amongst it out there, the speaker's incredible. The sound quality is fantastic. You can pair it with another speaker to make it really loud. It gives you your yardages. It's the best speaker in golf. Go to radgolf.com, use code Subpar, and get 15% off your entire purchase. Make golf fun again. Radgolf.com is the job. Let's go back to the episode.
Last question before we get to the E9, but we wouldn't be doing our job as esteemed journalists if we didn't address the putter that has changed the putting world out there, which is you are responsible for changing the dynamic of putting across the globe. Give us the story about the putter going to Rick and then all the dominoes.
And do you think you should get a cut of all the ones Odyssey sells?
100% you should be getting royalties.
Well, all right. Well, let's just
we'll negotiate
start
that
in the
for
beginning.
You. Okay.
Start in the beginning. It was Charlie's putter.
Yeah.
CB, Charlie Belgian. It was his putter. And I remember the morning when I discovered the putter. It was he had an RV. And we were at Quail Hollow. It was like Monday morning. I went bass fishing on the pond there. It was like I woke up at dark, went out there, fished for a couple hours. And Charlie's like, we're not doing anything till the afternoon. I was like, okay, I'm going to go fish for a couple hours and I'll be back. So he had a couple slides on the side of the RV, and he gave me a slide to like keep some fishing rods, my golf clubs. And like I saw, like when I pulled my slide out, I saw this putter with this big long grip, and this was in like 13, so we'll say 10 years ago. And I remember pulling it out, and it was like, man, like this thing is so stable, like, it doesn't wave at all, like, and I was like, hey Charlie, do you mind if are you using this? Like, I knew he wasn't using it. It was just in there. Who knows how long it was in there for, and he's like, yeah, no, it's all yours, take it. And I still have that exact putter with that grip. I should have brought it actually for you guys to see, which I've retired now.
The OG.
But the OG, it's the OG. And I had it, and so I used it. I didn't actually use it on the mini tours because, like I said, that when I started caddying for Charlie is when I hung him up. And I've always, if you ask any of my friends that we play like money games with, back in Mesa, that I think they would say that I'm a good putter, and Rick, they made another 30-footer or whatever, blah blah blah. Anyways. So the long and the short of it is we're in Palm Springs last year. We're at the Madison Club. This is on like a Monday, I want to say. We're playing. Rick's like, hey, do you want to go play some golf this afternoon? We're going to go over to Madison. I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever. So we're on the putting green, warming up, ready to go to the first tee. And I hit a couple putts and I made a couple putts. And I remember him like kind of looking over. I just remember him like, he's like, hey, can I see that putter? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, here you go. So I hand it to him, like, I'm not thinking anything of it. And he rolls a couple putts and he's like, oh, okay, cool. And he hands it back to me. So we played 9 holes that day. And on every green, he grabbed my putter. He was like, "Hey, can I use it?" When we got to the 4th green, he makes a comment and says, "This putter is like cheating." Is what he said. And at that moment, a light bulb just went off in my head. I'm like, what? Because, you know, for the last year, I've seen Rick with like 5, 6, 7, 8 different putters. Like he's searching, you know, he's trying to find different putters, and I'm like, holy shit, like, if we, you know, is he gonna get another putter made? And I didn't suggest any of that. But when we got done, he goes, "Hey, would you mind if I borrowed your putter for a couple days to have the guys from Odyssey make a replica of it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "And if they can't, you can just have mine." I was like, "You just take it." Like, I don't need it, you know. As long as you're making putts, that's all I care about.
Good for me.
Yeah, exactly. So
the putts you make are worth a lot more than the ones I make.
That's right. Yeah, a lot more. So, so yeah, you know, and they ended up making an exact replica. I believe it's 630 grams, the putter, how much it weighs. And he put it in play that week, and he's been using it ever since. It's just
the best club you've ever given him.
Best club I ever given him. Yeah, I guess you could say.
And
that.
then Dub picks it up down at Medalist or wherever they were playing.
I gotta watch
Rick make a bunch.
I gotta watch
like,
Dub beat us in the final round of the U.S. Open.
Should have waited longer. Yeah, imagine if y'all didn't play that round together.
I know.
Before.
Well, the thing is I just wish that nobody like had the opportunity to try it. You know, obviously you can't hide it. You know, and it definitely was a little gut wrenching to watch Dub win the U.S. Open with that putter. But hey, you know, as long as Rick's making putts, you know, getting back to the whole Odyssey thing and should they pay me this and that, like, listen, I'm not the one that really, I see Rick asked to use my putter. He's the one that made it popular.
Well, that putter was old and it went away for a while. They stopped making it.
Yeah.
But because of the success Ricky and Wyndham had with it, they brought it back and now are reselling it.
We got DMs same model.
Because I had a few.
Okay.
This son of a bitch over here tried to hide them from me and act like he was going to eBay them from me one day when I wasn't home.
I jacked 2. They were short, though. They weren't like the long, but I was like, dude, you can easily just add length to this and throw the right grip on there. And make it 39 inches, put some weight on the bottom. Bam. You got it. Yeah. I hit them. Forgot I hit them. They were in his garage somewhere. I don't know where they are now.
I had a guy offer me $3,000
they sell the exact model.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I had a guy offer me $3,000 for one.
Dude, like these things pop. They started making the exact replica, like selling them. I'm like, dude, this is a resurgence. And now you see how many guys, even if they're not using that, Justin Thomas switched to that counterbalance quickly thereafter, tried it for like a week or two. But now you look out there and there's so many guys using like the, whatever you want to call it, the counterbalance.
I guess Odyssey, the day that they released the putter, which was like, I don't know how many it was, 2,000 or 4,000 putters, like it crashed their website. It was, from what I was told by the Odyssey people, it was the best, single-handedly the best day of putter sales they've ever had in the company's.
And for all you people out there, yes, go buy them from Odyssey. It's a great brand. Love Callaway. But also, you're not Rickie Fowler, Wyndham Clark. The people holding the putter might have a little something to do with it.
That's
Belgian
true.
is actually the one that should be like, dude,
Charlie,
that's my shit.
He's got plenty of money.
I created that.
Charlie
he built that when
it.
nobody created that. You know what I mean? It's just like the museum. Like it's 39 inches is a tweener.
Knew you had to get the museum in there somehow. Self-suck, $20. You each owe it to the pot.
Charlie would hold
happily,
it. Charlie held it like a
40.
regular putter because he's such a tall dude. Like it was like a regular putter.
I think he
for
used
him.
that on the Jicks, if I'm not mistaken.
He probably did.
And then it was like a backup.
The jailbird
on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I was going to talk about your Broncos because both of your fans, but they suck. So let's just get to the E9.
They kick in a few minutes. We're gonna get our shit kicked.
Yeah,
you wanna go watch this?
They're playing the Chiefs here shortly.
I don't want to talk about them. Not today.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get to the E9. I think we should go with the alternate E9 question to start.
Yeah.
Because he is a single man. Mm-hmm. Celebrity crush.
Growing up or current.
Pamela Anderson, without a doubt, hands down.
Okay, dirty, you dirty little
not the
fella.
only one. Dirty birdie, dude. That was quick as shit.
I don't even need to think about that. Her or Carmen Electra. I mean, but Pamela Anderson.
If you're in
I gotta pick one
age bracket, whatever that is, and one of them don't come up,
it was
you're
just
lying.
like she was just.
I choose Carmen.
Carmen was it, bud.
Oh man.
All right, let's take a breather. We'll get back. All right, I'll give you a real one first off. Give me one Jicky Jack player you played with that you are most surprised never made it on tour.
Jesse Mueller.
Rudy.
I thought you were begging for him to say your name.
No, I'm not that guy. That's too much of a fuck up.
Definitely Sleaze too. You're a hell of a player. I mean, we played together. When did you graduate TCU?
07.
07. So
yeah, we're the same, I think.
We're the same. Yeah,
we played a lot of jicks.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I mean, we did.
Jesse Mueller though.
Jesse Mueller. Yeah, he
was nice.
He was nice,
especially around this area. Knew all these tracks. He could just shoot 62 more often than anybody,
without a doubt. I mean, I just, for whatever reason, I was gonna say Aaron Watkins, but he got a tour card.
Oh yeah,
he was
got a good Aaron Watkins story. That's not appropriate for air.
Jesse was super nice, but like the difference between Jesse and Charlie is like Charlie could fly at 310, and Jesse could fly at 277,
right,
and then chase it out there. And it's like when you get to big boy level, it was
still
different.
Is.
He's still super nice.
He'll be teeing it up.
He plays in more majors now. Fuck, dude, the guy wins every section event in the world.
I know it.
Did you know that the winner of the Southwest section obviously gets in the WM Phoenix Open? A woman won this year.
No, I did not.
Yes, but they got to play from 80% the yardage, and apparently, I learned this all recently because I was like, hold on, does that mean a woman is going to be teeing it up in the WM Phoenix Open? Because that will be insane. But apparently, the way the regulations are, you have to play the full yardage, so the runner-up gets in, which is Jesse. This
is like his 5th start. He gets more starts now.
Fun fact of the day.
Since he quote-unquote quit than he ever did when he was playing.
That's true.
He can go.
He can go. He was a big surprise to me. He one of the better putters I've seen. He always had that like it's like a toe hang, blue face ping putter that he used forever. And he was just such a great dude. You know, I played a lot of practice rounds with him and Charlie and Kendall Critchfield and A-Dub and Watkins. Yeah. That was kind of our crew out there.
All right. Speaking of going low, how many times have you broke 60?
I have broken 65 times.
Damn. And there's an asterisk next to it should be 6 from what I've been told.
That was wild, right?
14 under through 14, correct?
Yes, that is a true story. I have about 10 witnesses to that day. We're playing a skins game at a course called Painted Mountain. It's in Mesa. It's like 6,400 yards.
Doesn't matter.
It's not. The greens are pretty flat. But yeah, and at the time, honestly, I didn't even know. Like one of my buddies was keeping score. We're playing skins, and also at the time, I didn't have a penny to my name. It was like, how am I going to eat dinner tonight? Or how am I going to pay my car payment? This and that. So I'm going out there in like a 15, or it was like a 12 dude. It was a 12-man skins game, and we all played in the same group. We were all playing together. And my buddy came up to me on 13, and he was like, do you realize how, I knew I'd made like 3 eagles. I made like 3 eagles. And he goes, do you realize how many under par you are? And I'm like, no. He goes, you're 13 under through 13. And it's getting dark. Like, well, there's no way we're going to finish. And I'm like, holy shit, whatever. I was like, I was more concerned with the skins. I said, how are the skins?
How much money is that worth?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, how much money is it worth? I could give a shit that I was 13 under. So we go to 14. I birdie 14, and it's pitch black, and we go in. And I ended up sweeping all the skins that day. It was worth about $537. And
not to be too specific.
More or less, give or take.
It was, it was something like that.
Can't really remember.
I kind of, yeah. And that's all I cared about, man. I have like Paul Tesori. He always comes up to me and is like, do you realize you could have played the greatest round of golf ever in the history of golf, whatever. And I'm like, at the time, I said, Paulie, now looking back on it, I probably should have had everybody drive their cars out there, and I played under the lights to finish. But at the time, I was only concerned about the money. I was like, I got to eat dinner tonight, man.
That's fair. Could you not, would it not count if you
finished? It happens on PGA Tour. That's
if you went out in the morning and brought a few of the guys, be like, all right, I got to finish this round off. I'm 14 under through 14. I can make history here.
He's too busy blowing that 537.
Hey, like I said, man, I don't know. It was just, I had a different mindset. I was more concerned about how I was going to eat dinner, how I was going to pay my rent.
Damn, 14 through 14.
Whew, that's real.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what course it is.
And broke 65 times. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
All 59s, or was there 58 in there?
I've shot 58 twice. Yes.
Okay.
I've shot 58 twice. Yeah, I mean, my lowest round in a tournament is 61. That was in the Parker Open at, I believe it's Emerald Canyon. It's over there in Parker, Arizona, near Havasu, which I think is still the course record today. But yeah, my lowest round in a tournament 61, and I have broke 65 times.
That's sick.
So,
good for you.
That's golfing.
Thank you.
That's golfing.
Thank you.
537.
537.
More or less, give or take. Can't remember.
It was something like, it was 5 something.
What do they call it? Like, we didn't get 18 in, the whole game's void. Like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm going to need that 537.
Yeah.
Quick.
Just give me the money. That's all I cared about.
All right, caddy question. The poker games that go on out there, I know you play in them occasionally. I don't know if you're a regular, but which caddy do you think loses the highest percentage of his annual salary in the poker games?
Okay, that's a really good question. Normally these poker games go on like overseas. Like we're going to Japan next week, and we normally have a decent game there. Like where guys just play. We go up to like their restaurant they close down, and we play a game there. I want to comment on who the best poker player is that is a caddy, and that is hands down Michael Greller.
I believe that.
He
I heard that.
is a shark, bro. Like,
and you don't want to out the sucker because they don't know he's a sucker and he won't play anymore.
Yeah, who would you just most like to invite? Let's say who's the best company?
John
at these
Ellis.
games?
It's fine.
John Ellis
Jelly says he hangs.
No, John Ellis is a good card player.
No, don't out the sucker. I'm on your side on this one.
Yeah, I don't even want to say anything. Yeah. I want to talk about Greller and his skill because he's amazing to play with. He's intimidating. He puts the pressure on you. Like if you play Hold'em, like I mean, the dude doesn't even have to look at his cards. It's scary. Like he really doesn't. He's that good at the game, and he makes you feel that way on the table too. It's
I like that.
It's something. Like we played a game in Harrah's. We played in their like game one here, and he put me on. Like it was between him and I, and I'm thinking it's going to be friendly, and like I had a good hand, and he had obviously a better hand, and he was like just betting into me, and I kept calling. I thought he was bluffing. I'm like, you're full of shit, Greller. Like there's no way. And he ended up having it and took me for like $600 or $700 on the hand. And I'm like, dude, I was like, of all people I'm going to get in a hand with, like, I got to give you my money. Like I thought we were friends, or this and that. And it was just, but no, to answer your question, I mean, to not answer your question, like Greller is.
Yeah, don't answer the question. I'm with you.
He's a hammer.
So stay away from Greller.
Stay away from him on the card table.
His name's come up multiple times, so he must be the dude.
He is good.
Next one. Talked earlier. You're a big fisherman.
Yes.
You're very good at it.
Yes.
You better at catching fish or women?
Definitely fish.
Have you caught a bigger fish or a bigger? What's the biggest one of each? No, okay.
I'm a pretty short-statured dude, which women kind of like. They like the tall dudes. Like, you got to be tall, like pull the chicks and buff. I'm just a little guy, dude.
So and your answer to Slee's question is fish, I hope, because I believe you caught a fish that weighed over 500 pounds.
You caught a monster, right? Unless you tackled a sumo wrestler or something.
Yeah, we did. We caught a thresher shark that was in Oceanside Harbor. So back early, like when I first graduated college, I'd go to Oceanside. One of my best friends, Ryan Block, who actually Rick knows, he runs a sports fishing boat out of San Diego now, but at the time he was running a sports fishing boat out of Oceanside Harbor. And he had his own like 6-pack boat. It was called the Knucklehead, and we'd go out there, and one day he was like, "Hey, we're going to go shark fishing." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "How do you do that?" He goes, "Well, we're going to go out here into this canyon and we're going to troll." And we're trolling for hours, man. It's like people are dozing off, this and that. And I'm in the back of the boat, and I watch this rod like kind of bounce like that. And I'm like, "Hey, Block, dude, something just hit that rod." And he's like, "Oh shit." He goes, "It's probably like a thresher shark or something." And I'm like, "Okay." So he like stopped the boat and he started winding this thing in. It was like they called it like a Betamatic. It was like a skirted deal, and it had a mackerel on it. And he winds it in and he kills it right at the boat. And this shark comes up literally almost from me to you. It was right at the back of the boat.
God, no.
And this, like, I think it was 564-pound thresher shark comes up and swallows this bait, and Block just jacks this thing, and it starts taking off. And there was 3 other guys on the boat with us. It took us a good 3 hours to get this thing to the boat. And it went around his boat. I'm not shitting you, like 300 or 400 or 500 times. Like we're all like working together. Like,
and what do you do with it after you finally?
Yeah, what do you do when you catch a shark?
We drug it back. We couldn't get it into the boat because it was so heavy. Like just the dead weight of it. We didn't have like a winch or anything to like get it in the boat. And so we dragged it. We like tied it to the back, and we had to go real slow. And we got it to the harbor. And a couple of guys had commercial fishing licenses, so they sold it. They cut it up and sold it to whoever they sold it to, and made a few bucks, and that was it. We got a picture of it, and
sick.
Yeah.
It's way easier than catching women.
Way easier than catching
hours.
women, bro. Yeah, it's a lot less of a headache too. That's for sure. Like,
that's real fish.
Yeah,
that's real fishing.
Yeah.
All right. Props to you on the thresher shark.
Yeah.
All right, my next one. Zurich Classic turns into player-caddie tournament. Who wins?
Rick and I.
Are you the betting favorites?
I mean, I say that kind of selfishly.
Yeah, you should.
There's some good squads out there.
There's some good nice squads. Yeah. I would say JJ Jakovac and Colin Morikawa. That would be a good one. Ellis and Wyndham.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the course, Griner and Max.
Yep. That would be a great event, by the way. That would draw so many people watching, I feel like, compared to a normal run-of-the-mill.
I've had this conversation with...
It'd be a great call.
Numerous people, and they all say the same thing.
It would be great, but the problem is there's very few Ricky Romanos and Joe Griners and John Ellis's out there.
Right.
There's some caddies that have no chance. So like it'd be a 10-man field.
It wouldn't be the hugest field.
So maybe they do that. Maybe do like a 20-team event.
Just a little invitational.
And the winner gets in the Masters.
Maybe it's a signature event for $4.7 million. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what they could do?
That would be cool. But, maybe they do something like that. And kind of to your guys' point, there isn't there's a lot more playing caddies now than I feel like there ever was. But I don't think everybody would be able to participate.
It wouldn't be a monstrous field, but you could put enough together to make it an interesting tournament.
And I think fans
would love it.
I think they would love it.
Agreed.
That more importantly, right? I think the fans. I think it'd be good for TV. So yeah, maybe
it'd be fun.
That should be the next thing instead of the match. Do that.
Do like 5 player caddies.
Yeah, like a handful. The ones that make sense.
I like that. All right, next one. Caddies are known for being very prompt, being very on time because, they work for somebody else. You showed up 10 minutes late to this podcast. Was this the latest you've ever been for anything?
No.
Did you catch more shit for this or from one of your players?
Well, you know what? Actually, so he must have spilt the beans to you guys. I'm guessing this is a conversation you guys had with Charlie about maybe
I've known
being
nothing.
late.
No, dude.
I honestly just came up with this because you showed up 10 minutes late.
Okay. Well, no, actually, funny enough, in Houston, I'm caddying for Charlie, and it was at Redstone, which actually was our home course in college, and I'm staying in the Woodlands, which is about 30 minutes away if there's not any traffic. And it wouldn't really have mattered if there was traffic or not. My alarm never went off. I ended up waking up like as I was supposed to be meeting Charlie in the morning on the putting green with Gabe, his short game coach at the time. And I called him and told him, and literally, I think that's the fastest I've ever driven on a highway. And I remember sprinting from the parking lot to the putting green because he said he was on the putting green still. And Charlie told me, he goes, if you weren't running to the putting green, he goes, I was going to fire you. And I'm like, dude, I said, I thought you were going to fire me anyway. So, this is a total W. Like, I didn't
even drive fast, of course. I just sprinted when I got here.
Yeah. You got to be fashionably late a little bit, right, Colt?
Yeah, let them know.
Just not caddying.
Don't shoot. No. Okay. That's 7:12. Tee time means 7:12.
Oof.
That's right.
That's a tough one.
That actually worked out perfectly.
We didn't even know anything about that story.
Okay.
Yeah. That was just a random.
Yeah.
Worked out.
Okay.
Last one for me. Do you and Ricky ever argue about who the fans are actually talking to when they yell out "Big Dick Rick"? Everything is like, dude,
so,
that's me.
This is hilarious now. So Rick, this and that, and guys are like, hey, do you ever get tired of hearing your name? I don't even respond to Ricky anymore when we're out there. Like, Rick's had to like yell at me a couple times. Like, he's like, hey, Rick, and I'm just walking, because like I hear it all day, so it's like I'm just like, they're not talking to me, and like there's been a couple times where Rick's like, Rick, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, what do you want? What's up, dude? I'm like, he's like, oh, I need a water or whatever, has a question. Like, I don't even respond to my name anymore.
You got the most fans on tour as a caddy.
I think you're right.
Just Ricky's
just indirectly.
Yeah.
Side question: can you confirm that the nickname is actually true?
I can't.
Oh wow! If you would have said,
I know
yes,
you were probably hoping that I said yes, but
wow.
No, all right, maybe we need to talk to Allison. That's a whole other conversation.
Pause.
All right, last one. You've been out there a long time. You've seen a lot of caddies come and go. Who's the most attractive caddy you've ever come across?
Anything that jump out at you?
Who's the most attractive?
Yeah, could be non-domestic type of an event.
That's right. You've caddied a couple times on tour.
Yeah, I'm huge.
The most attractive caddy. I mean,
anything ringing a bell?
John Lamani.
I knew he was going to say that. I told Wyndham today he's going to say that.
That would
say
be
Scob.
Yeah.
That would be Lamani.
Wow. I mean, what happened about the girl at Zozo? You just over her already?
What about this? I thought that was real.
We're talking about.
I thought that was live.
We're talking
Yeah.
about.
I said most attractive caddy you've ever come across,
Yeah,
and you went with John Lamani. I didn't think that would be the answer.
Yeah, that shocked everyone.
I mean,
I
the
was
girl
going to
is-
say, is this a loaded question?
Scobb's gonna be pissed, but
the girl at
might as
Zozo
well
is
hear about the
heartbroken.
Zozo.
She's.
I didn't know about this girl because I mean, everyone.
Who told
He's
you about
blushing
this? I
right
want
now.
to know. I just.
I've
do you
asked
think?
several people to give me something on you, and everyone says, ask him about the caddy at Zozo. Every single person said the same thing.
I do have a crush on one of the caddies there. I'm come out and say it. There's no doubt. She was in our Pro-Am group last year, and for whatever reason, I was like, I'm just gonna.
Well, you're going there next week.
I'm gonna take a shot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see her. Yeah, I already talked to her, and
You're communicating.
yeah, we were communicating. Yeah. She doesn't speak any English.
So how do you communicate?
And I don't speak any Japanese.
So,
It's like more of like a
pictures?
phone thing, and we got a translator that comes to dinner, and
Is this a picture communication?
Oh my God! What a way to end it. That is fantastic.
Hey, good luck to you. Hey, good luck to you over there.
Yeah.
On and off the
Go
course,
get it,
bud.
my man. Dude,
On
thanks
and
for
off the
joining us.
course.
That was fun.
Ricky Romano. We love you.
Wow.
All right, that was Ricky Romano joining us on Subpar. Pretty unbelievable to be a caddy and has broke 60 4 times. Once 14 under through 14, no big deal. The man's got a lot of game. Just shows you, Sleaze, how hard it is to make it out there on the PGA Tour.
There's a lot of these caddies now that are like former players that were really good players, either Jicky Jack, Corn Ferry Tour, some tour guys out there. Ricky Romano definitely fits that. He and I spent a lot of times traveling around the jigs together, and good for him, man. Like, he came out, caddying wasn't even on his radar. Charlie, Belgian, shout out, gives him an opportunity. They go out, play great. Boom, all of a sudden it's a career. And he's landed in a spot, man, with Rickie Fowler, who's one of the best dudes out there, I think. And Ricky is an extremely loyal guy as well. I expect that partnership to go on for a long time, and why wouldn't it? They've had huge success just in their first year.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Ricky get that first win in over 4 years, and then be on that Ryder Cup team. Some great stories for that, but always fun sitting down with the caddies.
Colt, real quick,
great stories.
He's headed over to Japan as we speak. Just texted with him. He just landed. This could be this is his opportunity for a little love reunion. You know what I mean? The one that got away. Big week for him.
His second most attractive caddy he's ever come across, next to John Lamani.
Right. Shout out Lamani on that. That's a nice. We knew it was coming too, but yeah, there's a big week on and off the course for both Rickies.
All right. Well, it's the Zozo Championship this week. Rickie Fowler will be one of the favorites. Xander Schauffele is your betting favorite. For me, I'm going to go with the hometown guy. I mean, he's playing in front of his home country. He's going to have more support than anybody out there. I'm going Hideki Matsuyama at 14-1 for my favorite.
Okay, I like that. Be nice to see Hideki slip down those official world golf rankings just a little bit. Colt, I'm going with my gut and I'm going with my heart. My guy, all Sleaze team. I'm putting him in the same same vein as Kiradek Alpha Barnrat as guys on the All Sleeves team. I love him. Give me Min Woo Lee going off at 14-1. Just won the Macau Open this past week. Shot 30 under. The kid has so much offense. I think he's an up-and-coming superstar, and I just love the dude a lot. He's probably my one guy who would you like to have on subpar the most. It's probably Min Woo Lee, so I'm taking him. No questions asked.
I knew you were going to take him.
Yeah,
all right, my dark horse almost hit last week. This week I'm going for one. Not quite as good odds, but 45-1. He's been knocking on the door, coming off a career year on the PGA Tour. Give me Adam Schenk at 45-1.
The man is playing some good golf. Seems to be up there a lot of late. I'm going to go with a guy, similar odds. He's 50-1, also playing really good golf, also been kind of hanging around the hoop for a while in terms of trying to pick off a win on the PGA Tour. Just spoke to them on the phone, actually, and he loves where his golf game's at. So give me Bo Hostler, the Bo Show, 50-1.
Yep, he was up there last week. Looked like he was going to have a chance. I like that pick. All right, I got to head to the tee. Special thanks to Bel Air Country Club, the Friends of Golf, and Mr. David Potus, Director of Golf, out here for letting me use his office. Sleaze, you're looking great in those sunglasses, my man. The lights are never too bright for you.
Look, you can't see this, but it's brutal, dude. It's not a good look right now,
God.
so these will be on for the foreseeable future. Hey, go out there, have yourself a day. Be great, but be grateful. You know what I mean? Represent the brand.
You got it. Make sure everybody go to our YouTube page, subscribe, like, do all that, and we'll talk to you on the next Subpar.